Hello, hello, everyone. I am so excited for you to join me for this week's Feminine Finance Money Chat. So, if you don't know me already, I'm Eleanor Prisco, and I work as a money and mindset coach for women. And what I really focus on is teaching folks the key pillars of what I have founded Feminine Finance around sustainability, adaptability, unconditional love and compassion, ease and pleasure when it comes to all things money management, whether that be on the personal money side, the business money side. But it's all about coming back to this space of being able to become empowered money managers. So, what I want to talk about today is something that has come up a number of times for me this week in conversation with folks, whether that be in containers with me or just among, my group of friends and who are also entrepreneurs, right? And we've been talking about, and I think this is still happening because of the new year, like we're not too far outside the new year, but really talking about achieving your desires, right? Specifically your financial desires. And I know I talked a little bit a couple weeks ago about goal trauma, and I think that's really important to take into consideration. But I want to talk about the kind of the two voices out there when it comes to achieving financial desires, right? Or your financial goals. And I think one that's really loud in the industry is, oh, you need to just set a bigger and bigger goal, right? And if you're not the way for you to achieve a goal is to set a really, really big one. And then the other one is oh, slow and steady build, right? And so I kind of want to talk about these two philosophies and really give you permission to understand and let you in on a secret here that both of them are going to get you to the end results. Both strategies work. Okay. So the thing that's so funny here is that a lot of folks want to be no, only one works. You have to set a bigger and bigger and bigger goal. And that's what's actually going to motivate you. And if you have this smaller goal, it's not going to motivate you. And then the other camp is, very much no, it needs to be a slow, steady expansion, things like that. I want to let you know it all works. It all works. Right. And this is the thing that's so crazy to me is that, a lot of times what can happen when you get into the coaching industry or the entrepreneurial industry, you can automatically surrender your agency to these folks outside of you as experts. Right. And what I really want to encourage you to do is not. And I want to invite you into the fact that you potentially have expertise within you that you are not currently aware of. And I see this happen a lot in the money management industry as well. And so I really, really want to invite you into taking some time to think about and reflect on oh, what is it that I desire? What is it that I want? And not necessarily just absorbing desires and wants from the loudest voice on social media or who seems to be most predominant in your feed right now, right? Because what can happen here is that we can start having really out of alignment desires and intentions, and they might not even be things that we want. And then we're trying to be someone that we're not. And then we're not seeing the results that we want. And we're why is this happening to me? Why is it not working for me? And yet the whole reason why it's not working is because you're trying to be someone that you're not, right? The whole thing is that what you really should be doing is leaning into what are your desires? What are your intentions? What are the things that you want to achieve so that you can build and take the action steps you need to, right, to get that desire, whatever that may be, right? It could be the big, massive goal at, the end of the rainbow. It can also be, oh, what's the first next step in front of me that I want to achieve, right? But the biggest thing is you actually taking some time to reflect and think about, oh, what is the desire and intention I have? Because here's what happens when we give more attention to our desires, we become clearer and clearer on them, right? So you can totally see someone on social media, you can see someone on your feed and be oh, I want what they have, right? And then I want you to sit with that for a minute. Actually think about, okay, do you want what they have? What would it be if you had what they're showing they have on social media, right? and think about, oh, would that be enjoyable to me? Would that be pleasurable? Does that feel good? Okay. And just take a minute to think about that. And then really see like, oh, is what they have in alignment with my values? Is it in alignment with the type of business that I want to build? Is having client calls every single day the type of business I want to have? Is passive income stream, actually like passive courses, more in alignment with what I'd like to have? Is selling like course books or something like that what I want to have? Do I actually want to have like a physical product? Do I want to have a brick and mortar location? Do I want to see my clients in person? Do I want to see them virtually? Do I want to be making jewelry? Do I want to be, refurbishing furniture? Whatever it might be, right? But the question is asking yourself, if you feel a pull of, oh, I want what they have, take a step back and consider, oh, is this true for me? Do I want what they have, or have they just inspired me to a certain aspect of the way that they're living their life that I would also like, right? Oh, having more free time, having financial stability, having ability to spend time with their family and loved ones, traveling, right? But that doesn't mean that the way they went about getting it is the way that's going to work for you, right? So this all comes back to remembering, going back to the exact thing that I started with, is that there are many ways to get to the end result, right? Both those big strategies that people talk about, setting massive goals or stair-stepping your way to them, both work. Both can get you to the end result, right? What has been my personal experience of success is different than what has been someone else's personal experience of success. The most important thing that you can do, however, is take into consideration your desires and take into consideration your nervous system and what might actually be beneficial to you. Okay. So how do we start to do that? I think that this is a super important technique to learn, whether it be in business, whether it be with your money, whether it be just like in life in general, right? Is actually discerning, oh, what is going to be right for me, and not surrendering your power to other people or like the loudest voice in the room, right? You being able to stand for yourself, right? Because people who are able to discern and get in alignment with themselves and be able to hear like, oh, this is what I actually want. And even though this person is potentially saying this is the way to success and this is how they've achieved success, that does not necessarily mean that like it's the way to success for you, right? And so this is where, I want to bring in the topic of how do we actually develop this? How do we like exercise this muscle? How do we exercise this intention in our business, in with our money, in our mindset practices, right? And so it goes back really to this strategy that I'm talking about, of that as you think about and see things coming up on your feed, into your life, whatever it may be, right? As you think about these things and you feel that pull of, I want this, it's asking yourself, okay, well, let me actually map that into my life. Let me see what that means. What does that mean for me? What would this look like for me? Right? And it's going through that process of being able to map it out into your experience, to like idealize it and visualize it into your life and see how it would play out. And then being able to see, oh, some of these things I like, some of them I don't like. And so what do you want to keep and what do you want to release and let go of? Right? Because that's going to help you determine actually like what is going to be the right path for you and what's going to work for you, right? That's not to say that we don't need to challenge our comfort zones, right? Because I don't want this to get misconstrued or misunderstood by like being like, oh, I'd like to start my own business and I want to, pursue my own business and I want to have this entirely organic following. Yeah, I don't want to go to networking events. I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to do any of these things. And the thing, that I have to say there is you might need to like push some edges. You might need to get outside your comfort zone. You might need to just like stroke those edges of what feels comfortable to you and be able to expand past that and be like, okay, well, like, instead of being like, oh, you need to be everywhere all at once, what would it look like for you to just choose one social media platform that feels really good for you? Or have you looked at meetups in your area because you'd like to just do everything in person and network old school, right? Like there's so much that we can actually decide to like reflect upon when we see things that we desire and we want, right? Because we have to ask them like, oh wait, is that like actually in alignment with me? And is it in alignment with my business? Or am I just like kind of experiencing shiny object syndrome and just like getting distracted and self-sabotaging and like moving away from the action steps that are already going well and working for me, right? So like this is an important aspect. And that's how it looks in our business, right? Is that like we can see things that we like, that we desire, that we want, and we need to be able to discern, okay, this person is presenting to me an amazing resource and like I want what they have. So is their proposed solution the thing that's going to get me there, right? And so it's like, oh, is that course, program, or whatever it is going to get me there? And it's really thinking about, well, first ask yourself, would that program necessarily work for you? In the sense of like, is this program targeted more towards people who are selling passive income stream products, or is it targeted towards people with high ticket, programs, or is it targeted towards people with like physical businesses, brick and mortar businesses, right? Because those can all be, very different ways of approaching things, right? So I'm seeing in the comments, how do you feel about Wall Street investing? Is Forex trading complicated? So that's a great question, Dee. I don't work in investing. What you're going to be wanting to look for is people that are financial advisors. And what I really recommend when it comes to financial advisors is you're always going to want to find a fiduciary. What that means is a fiduciary is a licensed professional who is always supposed to put your financial benefit above their own. So when it comes to Wall Street investing, that is not the expertise that I have. I have invested in the stock market. I have my own investments that like I self-direct that I'm very happy with, but financial advising on investing is not something I do, but I think that's a great question and definitely something to ask the community, or to even like, if you're looking for voices on that, to check out on different social platforms, probably more likely YouTube. There's going to be more people talking about investing. Of course, you're going to be want to be really careful about folks when they're not fiduciaries, because when it comes to investing, because they're not necessarily looking out for your best financial interest. But I love the question. I love that you're looking into getting into investing if you haven't already. That's super exciting. I think it can be an amazing platform to like get involved in. I myself, when it comes to like my financial experience, how I've gotten started in stock investing when I was first starting out was through the platform Robinhood. If anyone isn't familiar with this, you can send me a quick DM. I'm happy to share with you my referral link that gives you like, I think, a free stock or like a free portion of a stock. They always do different promotions, but what it is the reason why I like Robinhood was because it is a very easier, it has a very low barrier of entry into the stock market. I think the stock market can be very confusing and overwhelming. And so if you're someone who wants to just dip their toes in, get familiar with it, have a really beautiful user interface, and that's really simplistic, then I think I'm happy to share that referral link with folks. Just send me a DM and you can then go ahead and check it out. But they are a trading platform. There are zero fees. That's another reason why I really love it. And it's a fantastic way to get started into like trade, like stock market and like exploring that, because I think it's just an amazing resource. So I think that's like, a really good place to start. And I'm happy to share that resource with everyone. But Robinhood, great app. It's a mobile app based trading platform, zero fees. It's self-directed. I've had a lot of success with it, and it's been really great for me and my experience. So So yeah, I'm seeing from her. Okay, thanks so much for your advice. Absolutely. I forgot the word fiduciary from my time learning to sell life insurance. Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely, when it comes to stock advising, you're looking for a financial advisor who is a fiduciary. So if you're looking into the stock market or wanting to get involved in that, those are definitely the types of voices you're going to want to follow and take a look at. If you are wanting to dip your toes in independently, self-directed, zero fees, I love the platform Robinhood. Happy to share my referral link. Just send me a DM. I can send it your way. And you get some kind of like, I think, free stock or a partial free stock. Cause I think they started doing these splits where you get partial stocks of like some of the bigger companies like Google, Amazon, that kind of thing. But they kind of are always switching up what it is that you get. So I'm happy to share that though. If you want to check out the platform, it's really great. So what I was talking about is like jumping back now before a question is thinking through like, how do we create discernment in our financial decisions, right? Because we were talking about creating discernment in our business and like being able to assess like, oh, okay, the choice that I'm making, right? The decision that I'm making of potentially investing in this course or listening to this voice is really, it's important for you to create discernment of like, is what they are preaching, what they are teaching going to be in alignment with you, but not only alignment, but like sustainable for you? Is it going to actually support you in the vision of what you want to create? So then how do we do that when it comes to our money decisions as well, right? And this is something that's super important for us to learn, right? Because a lot of times clients come to me and they're like, I don't even know where my money is going, honestly. Like, I don't understand how I'm spending it all. I don't know where it all goes. I'm making money, but like, it just seems to all go out the door and I have no idea what I've spent it on, right? And one of the first things I ask is like, okay, well, let me know, what systems are you using to like manage or track your money, right? Like, how are you like just engaging with your money? This is why a money date can be so transformative. And so like, if you aren't familiar with a money date, definitely check out my money date guide 101 that you get when you sign up for my email list. But the whole thing is that like, you're going on a money date, and a money date is a way in which you decide to check in with your finances, whether that be reviewing your spending, checking on your investments. But like for this example, we're talking about reviewing your spending. So you go on a money date to review your spending and see where you're at in your financial plan. And so by deciding to ask your nervous system, right, this is the critical aspect of a money date, by deciding to ask your nervous system, oh, what is going to make my nervous system feel safe and regulated in taking this action? It may mean that we're putting on a beautiful playlist, that we're having a cup of tea with us, maybe a glass of wine, that we've gotten ourselves a delicious chocolate to have, and like we're sitting down and having dedicated time to show up for our money, right? We're showing up for our money the way that we want it to show up for us. So we then, right, are actually taking a look in this activity of discernment. This very first action is actually understanding, where's your money going, right? When we're unclear on where our money goes or even what's happening with our money, the very first place to start is to just start getting reflective on, okay, well, where is your money going? What are you spending your money on? And this is going to be really helpful, because when people are feeling like they are spending from a reactionary place, a lot of times it just means that we're just not regulated in our spending activities, right? Which means that we just are potentially falling into trauma response in spending, right? And so I always want to help my clients move away from that so that they're making in alignment spending, right? And the way that we do that is we start to practice like just discernment, right? We start to, and this is not to get confused with a lot of what the financial industry totes. I want to be very clear here of like, is that a want or a need, right? I don't play those games, right? For instance, like I was just laughing with my media team today because I was like, croissants are always in my financial plan. Like those are never going away from my financial plan, right? That would absolutely, by traditional standards, be considered a want, right? It's like, that is not a need. You want that croissant. And guess what? I do want that croissant. And it's something that I always give myself. And so it's like deciding that the way in which you spend your money is right, because your money is your money, you get to decide what to do with it. And so it's very important for us to then start practicing this level of approval of our spending, and then just reflecting and gaining information from our experience of tracking and being like, oh, how did it feel to spend money on that? Did that feel good, or did it actually feel out of alignment? Did it feel like I was attempting to gain control of a situation? Was I feeling shame or guilty that I wasn't providing in another area? Was I feeling frustrated because I had wanted to go out last week with my friends and I didn't have the money, and like now I was like, making up for it? Was I thinking like, oh, well, you deserve this, you've been working so hard, right? It's actually getting reflective on like the emotional aspect of how we spend our money, right? This is completely the way, like this is the feminine finance method and way, right? Like this is how I teach finances. And this is applicable both to your personal money and your business, right? It's that reflective time of like, okay, how am I spending my money? What is influencing me? How is that impacting me? And like, this doesn't have to do with, oh, is this determined as a want or a need, right? Because one of the main pillars of feminine finance, right, of the feminine finance method is sustainability, right? Because if you build an unstable financial plan, right, AKA a budget, but we don't use that terminology because this isn't like, it provides complete. Budgets are totally rigid and not adaptable. Financial plans are adaptable and sustainable. That is the feminine finance method. So like when we decide to be like, okay, if I want to sustainably stay on top of engaging with my money continuously, right? And I want to develop an intimate relationship with my money where I gain financial empowerment, then we need to figure out, okay, what are these sustainable structures that we need to establish? That may be croissants, right? That may be still going out for your coffee, right? Do you want to go out every single day for your coffee? Maybe not, right? Maybe it's like, oh, you'd love to actually have French press at home in the morning, but then on the weekends, you'd love to go out for a fancy coffee, or maybe during the week, you have a fancy coffee before X, Y, and Z. And like on the weekend, you make French press, right? These are like really small, simplistic examples. Some of them can be bigger examples as well. And like but it's the key here, right, is about deciding to become reflective on how you're spending your money, and then discerning of between times when you've spent out of alignment and times when you fully spent in alignment, and it's led to your ease, your pleasure, your greater regulation. Because when we decide to completely lean into deprivation techniques, right, which are part of a budget, the problem that happens there is that we completely fall off the wagon. We've built unsustainable systems, and there creates an inability for us to keep going, right? You may achieve whatever goal you outlined for yourself, right? Of like setting aside X number of dollars, right? Or paying off a certain amount of debt. But I'd love to see if you do achieve that goal, do you keep going after that, right? Do you keep that system in place, or does it completely fall off, right? So what I'm about is helping folks actually learn how to sustainably engage and build intimacy and a devotional practice with managing their money, so that no matter the financial situation they're in, they're able to access the things that help them feel potentially luxurious, right? Allow them to feel financially empowered, that like no matter the financial situation they're in, they're still going to feel financial empowerment, and they're not going to fall into the spirals of guilt, of shame, of disempowerment, of anxiety, of stress, right? Which completely just like suck away our motivation and ability to problem solve hard financial moments, right? And so this is the huge aspect of being able to discern, right? And like being able to look at potentially the financial industry, right? Which is what led me to forming the feminine finance method, right? Is like actually being like, wow, this entire system is unsustainable and it makes me feel like shit. And so it's like, do I really want to be feeling that way? Do I want to subscribe to a system that makes me feel guilt, makes me feel shame, and then somehow makes me even feel guilty about wanting money, right? Like somehow it's like, oh, I want money, money will make it all better. But then I even feel guilt and shame about wanting more money. right? But it's like supposed to be this thing that I'm supposed to work really hard to manage, to take care of. And yet like, it's bad for me to want it, right? So it's like a fun little, like a whirlwind that happens, I feel like, in the current financial industry. And this is what I am working to shift with feminine finance, right? With the feminine finance method, it is all about learning, okay, what is the sustainable financial plan that's going to work for you? It's going to work for your business, right? Because when it comes to the business side, of course, there's like really important things that we need to take a look at, which would be making sure that you're reserving for taxes, understanding your overhead percentage, actually paying yourself so that your business can financially support you. And you start to feel that financial security created by you, for you, right, through your business. And so it's really important for us to start to establish and start to understand this discernment, right? Whether it comes to our investments, whether it comes to how we're spending our money, whether it comes to, our business financial structure. These are all so important because it all comes back to the pillars of the feminine finance method, right? Of like understanding, okay, like how can we create a sustainable system? How can we stay accountable, right? It's so important for us to figure out how to stay accountable. And it's all about understanding, right? Like, oh, we need to be adaptable because life is always changing. But that's like a totally other like topic to talk about. I really should do a money chat just on like the feminine finance principles, because then I can dive in deep to each of these. But with that, that's what I really wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the fact that, you can hear all these loud voices on social media telling you, this is the way to get the result. This is the way to get the result. And really, it's like, actually, all the ways work, right? All these ways most likely work. But it's about you leaning into what are your financial desires? What are the things you really want and desire in life, and being able to use those to inform your discernment, right? Whether it be on the business side, on the personal side, all those beautiful ways. But I'm so happy that I was able to chat about this topic today, because I think it's been coming up a lot of like, oh, well, which way is the right way, right? But it's actually like, both are the right way, right? But it's about you discerning like, oh, what is best for my nervous system? What is best for my lived experience? What is best for where my nervous system is at right now, and figuring out what those steps are that are going to be best for you, right? So if you have questions, let me know below in the comments. If something really resonated with you, let me know as well. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'll see you next week for our regular scheduled money chat. And also, if you are wanting to learn the feminine finance method, then you can come join me for Feminine Finance Academy. It is my amazing 6-month group program. It's where I'm going to teach you how to engage with your finances in this feminine way. It's for your personal money, for your business. I'll go ahead and drop the link below. You can check it out, see if it's right for you. If you have any questions, you can send me a DM. I'm happy to answer any of those questions, but this is really about you learning how to become an empowered money manager and learning how to create the sustainable, adaptable strategies for your personal money and business, and have the mindset to back it all up. So if you want to know more, just let me know, reach out to me on the DMs, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.